Hello everyone, and welcome to my CBS BNB Full Today channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Katie Logan had lived through enough backstabbings in Los Angeles to fate the feeling the moment it crept over her chine. It always started the same way, a quiet apprehension, a sense that commodity precisely hidden was about to surface. The megacity outside Forrester Creations buzzed with its usual meter. Heels clicking on marble bottoms, sidekicks rushing between meetings, contrivers arguing over fabrics, but for Katie, everything felt unnervingly still. She had come to the office awaiting a routine check heft with Bill's media division, nothing further than paperwork and polite discussion. What she walked into rather would shake her understanding of several lives intertwined by secrets, falsehoods, and dangerous ambition. Electra Forrester had no way been easy for Katie to read. Intelligent, reserved, and frequently undervalued, Electra carried herself with the calm confidence of someone who observed far further than she revealed. That morning still commodity was out. Her posture was stiff, her eyes restless, and when she spotted Katie in the hallway, she dithered just long enough for alarm bells to ring. Katie noticed everything, the way Electra's fritters tensed around her phone, the way she glanced toward the administrative services as if hysterical someone might eavesdrop, indeed her studies. Katie had learned, over times of navigating the Forrester and Spencer dynasties, that vacillation was frequently the prelude to disclosure. What Electra carried was gossip. It was dubitation. It was proof. Katie followed her into a quiet corner of the structure, down from prying eyes, ignorant that the verity staying for her would connect directly to Luna Nozawa, a youthful woman whose presence had formerly stirred whispers, battles, and uneasy alliances throughout the Forrester route. Luna had entered their world with gift and modesty, earning trust snappily. Too snappily, some might say. She had deposited herself as inoffensive, thankful for occasion, eager to please. But Katie now tasted that image was about to shatter. Electra's information didn't come from chance. It came from weeks of observation, from lines accidentally left open, from late nights when drawing crews weren't the only bones. Moping after hours. Luna had been careful but not careful enough. A digital trail had formed, dispatches deleted but not cancelled, fiscal records disguised as remitments, and a timeline that simply didn't add up. Electra had connected the blotches, and what she uncovered suggested Luna wasn't simply hiding commodity particular. She was guarding a secret important enough to rewrite several connections inside the Forrester and Logan families. Katie's original response was unbelief. She had watched Luna interact with RJ, with Steffi, with the design platoon. She had seen kindness, vulnerability, indeed nervous excitement. But the substantiation Electra revealed painted a chillingly different picture. Luna hadn't just stumbled into Forrester Creations by luck or mentorship. Her appearance had been calculated. Her propinquity to crucial family members wasn't coexistence, it was strategy. The most ruinous disclosure lay in Luna's true connection to a once reproach the Forresters believed buried. A reproach involving manipulated records, stolen intellectual property, and a quiet lucre that had kept names out of captions times agone. According to what Electra discovered, Luna wasn't a stranger at all. She was tied by blood and motive to someone who had lost everything in that cover-up. Her presence in the structure wasn't about fashion. It was about vengeance, exposure, and control. Katie felt her stomach twist as the counter-accusations unfolded. This wasn't just about Luna. It was about RJ's trust, Steffi's authority, and the fragile stability the Forrester family had fought to maintain. However, it wouldn't just embarrass the company, it would renew injuries, interlace important numbers, if Luna's secret came out intimately. Katie knew better than anyone how snappily secrets could come munitions in this megacity. What unsettled Katie most wasn't just the deception, it was Luna's tolerance. She hadn't rushed. She hadn't made miscalculations fueled by emotion. Rather, she had bedded herself still, earning affection while gathering influence. Every smile, every thankful word, now sounded layered with intent. Katie couldn't stop replaying once relations in her mind, wondering how numerous moments had been performances designed to disarm dubitation. Electra hadn't brought this information smoothly. She knew exposing Luna could enkindle chaos, but staying silent felt worse. The verity had reached a point where it could no longer be ignored. And now that Katie knew, she was no longer just an observer. She was a doorkeeper of Verity, facing a decision that could alter multiple lives ever. As the day wore on, Katie watched Luna from a distance, seeing her through new eyes. The warmth, the ambition, the vulnerability, it all remained, but now it was shadowed by commodity darker. Katie realized that Luna wasn't entirely inhuman. There were moments of genuine conflict, flashes of guilt that suggested she hadn't anticipated how deeply she'd come entangled with people she was supposed to use. That complexity made the situation indeed more dangerous. A person torn between vengeance and connection was changeable. Katie understood the stakes better than utmost. She had formerly believed love could survive secrets. She had formerly allowed silence could cover people. Experience had tutored her else. Secrets didn't vanish, they instigated. And when they eventually surfaced, they destroyed far further than honesty ever could. By the time Katie left Forrester Creations, the sun was setting over Los Angeles, casting long murk across the megacity. She felt the familiar weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. The knowledge Electra had participated wasn't just shocking, it was explosive. Whether Katie chose to defy Luna, advise the Forresters, or bring the Verity to light in a further strategic way would determine who survived the fallout and who would be crushed beneath it. One thing was certain: Luna's secret would not stay retired much longer. And when it came out, it would force everyone involved, Katie included, to defy uncomfortable trueness about trust, fidelity, and the price of revenge. In a megacity erected on beauty, power, and vision, Katie Logan had learned one inarguable assignment: the most dangerous secrets are the bones, hiding in plain sight. And Luna's was about to change everything. Katie Logan didn't sleep that night. The knowledge Electra had placed in her hands refused to settle, looping endlessly through her studies like a warning temptress she couldn't turn off. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Luna's face, open, humorless, and deceptively calm. Katie had erected a life learning how to survive treason, yet this felt different. Luna wasn't just hiding a mistake or a once relationship. She was living a taradiddle so precisely constructed that it had formerly begun reshaping the emotional geography of the people around her. Morning arrived without relief. Katie woke with a familiar heaviness in her casket, the kind she felt whenever the Verity demanded action. She dressed sluggishly, gaping at her reflection longer than usual. Experience had tutored her that when secrets reached this magnitude, doing nothing was a choice, and frequently the most dangerous bone. What unsettled her most was that Luna didn't appear reckless or cruel, however. She sounded deliberate, wounded, if anything. That combination frightened Katie further than outright malignancy ever could. At Forrester Creations, pressure hung in the air, unnoticed by utmost but unmistakable to those trained to smell swings. Contrivers laughed, sidekicks hustled, meetings went on, but beneath it all the foundation was cracking. Luna moved through the office with rehearsed ease, swapping warm grins, offering help, blending seamlessly into the terrain she had sneaked so completely. Katie watched from hence, assaying every movement, every commerce. Nothing about Luna screamed peril. That was precisely the problem. Electra had advised her that Luna's secret extended beyond particular vendetta. The substantiation suggested careful manipulation. Documents penetrated without authorization, internal schedules learned, family routines studied. Luna hadn't simply wanted propinquity, she demanded it. She had deposited herself near to RJ not out of affection alone, but because his trust granted her access others couldn't dream of. And RJ, kind-hearted and auspicious, had no idea he was standing at the center of a brewing storm. Katie scuffled with the moral weight of exposure. Exposing Luna would cover the Forresters, but at what cost? Luna wasn't vulnerable to consequences. She'd be intimately disassembled, labeled a fraud, her provocations deconstructed without mercy. And yet, letting her continue meant allowing manipulation to consolidate, connections to come contributory damage, and a larger reckoning to grow more violent by the day. As the hours passed, subtle signs surfaced that Luna tasted commodity shifting. Her grins faltered more snappily. Her horse laugh didn't loiter. She watched Katie with a curiosity edged in caution, as however apprehensive she was being assessed. That mindfulness alone verified Katie's worst fears. Luna knew how to read people. She knew when control was slipping. The Verity, when completely understood, was devastating in its compass. Luna wasn't just connected to a once Forrester reproach. She was the son of someone who had been totally cancelled to cover important names. Records altered. Credits stolen. Careers destroyed still and efficiently. The person Luna loved most had failed, believing justice would no way come. And Luna had promised herself she'd finish what that injustice began. Not with rage but with perfection. Katie felt a stitch of empathy she hadn't anticipated. Pain like that didn't vanish. It evolved. It stoned. But empathy couldn't abolish responsibility. Luna's charge, still accessible, hovered innocent people who had no hand in one's crimes. RJ's heart. Electra's integrity. The company itself. Katie had learned long ago that vengeance infrequently distinguished between shamefaced and accessible. As days passed, the secret grew heavier, more dangerous with every moment it remained buried. Bill Spencer's name surfaced in the web of connections, not as the mastermind of wrongdoing, but as someone who had served from silence. Katie knew what that meant, however. Bill would be pulled back into a narrative he desperately wanted to avoid. If this came out intimately, their complicated history made the decision indeed more particular. Guarding him wasn't her thing, but neither was destroying him without cause. Electra remained watchful, still tracking Luna's movements, establishing changes in jest, preparing for the ineluctable battle. She trusted Katie because she knew Katie understood restraint. This wasn't a secret to be thrown into chaos recklessly. It needed timing, evidence, and emotional intelligence. The wrong move could drive Luna to act before the verity was contained. Katie began noticing additional cracks in Luna's resoluteness. Moments where guilt surfaced suddenly. Luna dithered before penetrating defined lines. She dallied in hallways after exchanges with RJ, as if questioning whether the path she had chosen was worth the collateral damage. Those moments revealed a verity indeed more dangerous. Luna was no longer completely married to her original plan. Emotional attachment had complicated everything. That internal conflict created unpredictability. A person with nothing to lose was dangerous, but a person torn between vengeance and love was unpredictable. The breaking point arrived still. A routine internal review exposed disagreement too precise to ignore. Nothing overt enough to charge, but enough to confirm someone inside the structure was playing a long game. Luna realized the walls were closing in. Katie saw it in her eyes, that autumn, a flash of urgency, followed by resoluteness hardening like sword. Whatever Luna was planning, it was accelerating. Katie knew she was running out of time. She could defy Luna intimately, offering a path toward responsibility without public destruction. She could advise Steffi and threat driving a commercial disagreement. Or she could stay and allow Luna to make the first move, knowing it would probably be explosive. That night, Katie stood alone on her deck, Los Angeles glowing beneath her, allowing about all the moments in her life when verity had arrived too late. She had promised herself she'd no way again be silent when silence enabled detriment. Yet she also knew that justice without compassion frequently created new victims. The coming day would change everything. Because Luna's secret wasn't just about the history presently. It was about who would control the future. And Katie Logan, whether she liked it or not, was standing directly in its path. Katie Logan woke with the unmistakable feeling that events were formally moving without her. The megacity outside her window sounded louder, sharper, more intolerant than usual, as though Los Angeles itself tasted that commodity fragile was about to break. She carried that apprehension with her all the way to Forrester Creations, where every familiar face now felt subtly altered by the secret she held. Knowledge, she realized, wasn't power, it was burden. And hers was growing heavier by the hour. Inside the structure, Luna moved like someone bracing for impact. Her effectiveness had stoned, her relations trimmed of gratuitous warmth. She wasn't withdrawing fully, but she was recalibrating, pulling emotional vestments back into herself as though preparing for insulation. Katie noticed how Luna avoided prolonged eye contact, how she deposited herself closer to exits, how she no longer dallied in participated spaces. These weren't the actions of someone ignorant of peril. They were the instincts of someone who tasted exposure. Electra continued gathering information still, her focus unwavering. She didn't seek confirmation or consolation from Katie. She formerly knew what she had uncovered was real. What concerned her now was escalation. Luna had begun penetrating areas of the company she preliminarily avoided, requesting lines that had nothing to do with her assigned liabilities. The requests were subtle, defensible on the face, but together they formed a pattern. Luna was no longer staying. She was preparing to act. The Verity, as it continued to unfold, revealed a strategy that had been times in the timber. Luna's entry into the Forrester world had been precisely finagled, her resume padded with licit accomplishments that masked her deeper ideal. She had studied the family, its history, its fractures, its vulnerabilities. She knew who spoke to whom, who trusted fluently, and who carried guilt heavy enough to exploit. And utmost disturbingly, she knew which trueness had been designedly buried to cover patrimonies at the expenditure of justice. Katie set up herself reconsidering recollections she allowed. She had reused long ago, moments when important men had controlled narratives, when inconvenient data had been dismissed, when people without influence were still cancelled. She had survived those systems, but others hadn't. And now, standing on the other side of that history, she understood how fluently the cycle could repeat itself if she chose comfort over courage. Luna's secret, when stripped of emotion, was devastatingly simple. She intended to force the Verity into the open by dismembering the structures that had concealed it. Not with chaos, but with exposure so precise it would be insolvable to deny. Financial records, intellectual property trails, internal dispatches firmed in time. She wasn't interested in vengeance through destruction. She wanted acknowledgement, responsibility, names attached to consequences. What Luna hadn't reckoned for was attachment. She hadn't planned on minding about the people she'd hurt in the process. That misapprehension was now unraveling her discipline. RJ, in particular, had come more than a means to an end. His sincerity had unsettled her, creating a fracture between intention and feeling that left her vulnerable. Katie saw it easily now. Luna was losing control, not because her plan was failing but because her heart was complicating it. That vulnerability created a dangerous crossroads, however. She'd devastate people she had come to watch about. If Luna moved forward, however, she'd betray the memory of someone who had offered everything believing the Verity signified. If she stopped, there was no path that didn't involve loss. Katie knew she couldn't stay any longer. The battle didn't be in a boardroom or behind unrestricted doors. It happened in a quiet moment, when the structure exhaled between meetings, when steps faded and sequestration felt shortly possible. Katie approached Luna not as an appellant, but as someone who understood the weight of untreated business. Luna saw it incontinently in Katie's eyes, the knowing, the resoluteness, the turn down to be manipulated. For a brief moment, Luna's countenance cracked. The mask she had perfected slipped just enough to reveal prostration, grief, and fear. She had anticipated exposure to feel triumphant. Rather, it felt like standing at the edge of commodity unrecoverable. Katie didn't need evidence. The Verity was formerly apparent in Luna's silence, in the way she stopped pretending. What followed wasn't denial, but abdication. Luna knew the game was ending. The only question was how important collateral damage it would take with it. News of internal irregularities reached Steffi briskly than anticipated. Once dubitation entered her route, it spread with ruthless effectiveness. Steffi Forrester had erected her authority on resoluteness, and she'd not allow the company to be compromised from within. An internal review came ineluctable. Legal brigades were still advised. Safeguards were actuated. The machine began to turn. RJ, ignorant of the full compass of events, tasted the shift before he understood it. Luna grew distant, guarded, and emotionally unapproachable. The trust between them strained under the weight of what remained implied. Katie watched him struggle with confusion, knowing that innocence was about to be the most painful casualty of all. The once Luna sought to expose began surfacing in fractions. Old names resurfaced. Forsaken contracts were redefined. A story long dismissed as unfortunate coexistence gained disturbing clarity. The consummation transferred ripples through the Forrester family. Not everyone had been complicit, but enough had served from silence to make denial insolvable. Bill Spencer's involvement impended larger now. Not as a villain, but as a man who had chosen pragmatism over justice when it signified most. Katie understood him well enough to know remorse would come too late. When the Verity reached him, it would force a reckoning he'd avoided for times. As pressure mounted, Luna faced an insolvable decision. She could release everything, enkindle a public reckoning that would leave no bone untouched. Or she could allow the verity to face through controlled channels, icing responsibility without obliteration. The difference